after getting swept in Pittsburgh, they start a 3-game series tonight in Baltimore. Despite losing 3 in a row in Pittsburgh, the Dodgers still lead San Diego by 2 games in the NL West. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Jesse Jackson. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Today we have a very special guest and some very special conversations surrounding, well, both our spiritual and our mental health. Dr. Robert M. Franklin is the James T. and Berta R. Laney Professor of Moral Leadership at the Emory University's Candler School of Theology. Now in his second term at Emory, Dr. Franklin is a former Presidential Distinguished Professor of Social Ethics and a Senior Fellow at the Center for the Study of Law and Religion, both at Emory, and was also the leading founding director of Candler's Black Church Studies program from 1989 to 1995. In addition to his role at Candler, which he began in 2014, Dr. Franklin is a senior advisor to the Emory University president, as well as for community and diversity at Emory. He was director of the religion department at the Chautauqua Institution from 2014 to 2017, president of Morehouse College from 2007 to 2012, and president of the Interdenominational Theological Center in Atlanta from 1997 to 2002. In 2016, Dr. Franklin named to the Human Rights Campaign's Project Council for expanding LGBTQ equality and inclusion efforts at historically Black colleges and universities. He's on the board of Demos and on the council of past HBCU presidents and a member of several professional organizations, including the Academy of Religion and Society of Christian Ethics. Dr. Franklin is an ordained minister in both the American Baptist Churches USA and the Church of God in Christ. Dr. Cheryl Franklin serves as president and CEO of La Femme Care, women's healthcare specialists and consultants. She combines her skill in the profession of women's healthcare services with a passion for the public health and concern for healthcare policy. Dr. Franklin serves on the faculty of the Morehouse School of Medicine as clinical assistant professor of obstetrics and gynecology and is practicing gynecologist with the Morehouse Medical Associates. She's also an instructor in the Women and Children Center of the Rollins School of Public Health at Emory University. And last but not least, our co-host for this day on Fat Meat Fridays is Gina Towns. Dr. and Mrs. Franklin, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gina, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse Jackson Jr. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Gina. Why don't you get us started?
Well, I'm sure I just look like the cat who ate the canary. I don't know, when the last time was that I said that, but I got to tell you how excited I am to have doctors Franklin here. That would be Dr. Robert Franklin and Dr. Cheryl Franklin, who are both very near and dear to my heart.
Dr. Franklin, we have we're finding ourselves at a crossroads as Americans, as you probably both know well as historians, people who've studied the dynamics, both social, psychological, and spiritual of African Americans, but of the nation more specifically as a whole. We have about 5 minutes before we come forward in this segment of our program. I'd like your thoughts about the uniqueness of this moment and the fact that our people and this nation find themselves, Dr. Franklin, at a crossroads.
Well, we are facing a crossroads, and all of our traditionally assumed and held values are now being put to a test. And it is now time for our best instincts and our most generous values to show forth as we endure the present moment and as we resist and seek to lead change. I believe that we will come out of this wilderness we currently face, the violation of traditional norms, the disrespect for basic human rights, rights to health and health care, rights to civil freedom, and the comfort in using our rights to even speak and protest and redress the government for grievances. All of these fundamental constitutionally supported rights are under attack. But we will prevail. We've been in difficult places before.
Dr. Franklin, the missus, and I won't be saying that the whole program, I'll just be saying Dr. Franklin. Dr. Franklin, this crossroads is both spiritual and it has consequences and ramifications for our physical health as well. Your thoughts on the crossroads of our well-being?
Well, as you've stated, I'm both a clinician and a public health worker and a clinician. And so I am particularly appalled by the state that we find ourselves with public health at this juncture in America. We have built a terrific public health infrastructure that is under assault. And whether we think of it from healthcare payment and policy to immunizations to public health funding for critical research, etc., we are undergoing a sea change in terms of what we have built up, what's being destroyed, and the long way that we will need to go to regain the positive efforts that we've wrought over many decades.
Gina, I know we have a little less than 1 minute before we come forward on our break. It just seems to me that I can't find, and we can't find, more appropriate guests than to cover both our spiritual aspects of our health, but as well as our physical health in Doctors and Mrs. Franklin. And I do mean Doctors and Mrs. Franklin. One philosophical and one medical. Gina?
Well, I'm excited to get started with the show when we come back from our break. And of course, the title of our show is Still Standing. And so we have two pillars with us today who are going to share some valuable information when we come back.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, Doctors and Mrs. Franklin are joining us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land loss before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandloss.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Agnes was in deep trouble with the IRS.
I owed the IRS a lot of money. I did not know what I was going to do. I was scared.
Agnes caught a break and found out about Optima Tax Relief.
But when I called Optima Tax, they guaranteed me that they were going to help me out the best that they can. And they did.
Optima stopped the IRS.
No more telephone calls, no more letters. Optima Tax took care of everything. I can finally sleep at night. I was stress-free.
Agnes was finally free from her IRS nightmare.
It was like a burden was lifted off of me, and it was a great feeling.
Are you in deep trouble with the IRS? You might want to listen to Agnes.
I would refer Optima Tax Relief to anyone because they got me debt-free from owing the IRS any more money.
Call Optima right now for your free consultation. Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Now back to more Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We have two very special guests, Reverend Dr. Robert R. Franklin and Mrs. Cheryl Franklin, MD. And this question is for Dr. Franklin, the medical doctor. Dr. Franklin, you had to be as outraged as I was yesterday in the hearings before the Senate and before the House of Robert F. Kennedy. More than 1,000 members of the CDC, doctors, clinicians, scientists, and others have signed a letter calling for the ouster of Robert F. Kennedy and his approach to vaccinations at every level of our society, including but not limited to the state of Florida, which has now unmandated vaccines for children. Please share with us your thoughts on the consequences and the ramifications of some of these decisions that are being made at the highest level of our government.
Well, I, as you've noted, am duly outraged as well. We have a long history of effective immunization for children, for pregnant women, for adults in this country against a number of illnesses. We're now experiencing a level of vaccine skepticism that is unparalleled in our recent history. And it is being fueled by the skepticism of those at the top. When RFK was confirmed, he clearly told the Senate that he would not change vaccine policy, that he would not alter where we are now with vaccines. And unfortunately, that is not the case. He has terminated the tenure of all the members of the Vaccine Advisory Board and replaced them with others who are, like he apparently is, skeptic of our vaccine program. And therefore, we're now seeing cases of measles in the United States where we thought that we had gotten measles down to a place that the disease was near eradicated in the United States. We're now seeing deaths again from children with measles. That will get worse as fewer and fewer people are vaccinated. But I, as an obstetrician gynecologist, I'm particularly concerned about leaving pregnant women out of the equation when it comes to recommendations about things like the COVID vaccine. So these newest vaccination recommendations that are being accepted completely left women out of that. And when women are left out of recommendations, it means that insurance companies don't have to cover the vaccines, that pharmacies decide not to offer them to the persons who were not included specifically in the guidelines. And we know that pregnant women get respiratory illnesses and die more than their aged counterparts who are not pregnant. And so they are a particularly vulnerable group to respiratory viruses. So COVID, RSV, influenza, all of those are a particular problem. As we come up on respiratory virus season in the fall, that's going to be an issue. And so it's a big concern.
Dr. Franklin, if I could just ask a quick follow-up. It seems to me that in this debate about RFK's leadership and what his approach has been to the Department of Health and Human Services and to the Centers for Disease Control, it seems to me that lost in this conversation, which is a conversation we were having long before Donald Trump was reelected president and RFK became the secretary, we had a health disparities problem in this nation, trying to educate the poor, particularly those who are very vulnerable, that they should even get a vaccine, that they should make sure their children are vaccinated, that these vaccines are available to us. I can only imagine that you envision a tremendous disparity that continues to exist amongst African Americans and the least of these in our society as a result of this leadership and this behavior.
And that's true. We have had a skepticism problem in the African American community. Even before this will do nothing but exacerbate that. Now, there's lots of reasons that I'm sure we don't have time to go into about the distrust in the African American community for organized medicine. There's many reasons for it, but there are also many reasons that are societal, that African Americans and other historically oppressed peoples are particularly vulnerable to disease, both chronic disease and infectious disease. We saw that in clear view with COVID. And so it's not a genetic difference, it's a difference in healthcare access, healthcare vulnerabilities, so what we call social determinants of health, et cetera, that puts certain populations in the way of discriminatory practices. We know that racism in medicine matters. We know that implicit bias in medicine matters, that all of those things help to increase the risk of marginalized populations. And so, yes, the current vaccine policies will, we get hit first, we get hit hardest, and those effects will I'm afraid will be more pronounced in our communities.
Gina?
Sure. Dr. Franklin, MD, of course, you know that I know you as the medical director at Morehouse Healthcare in Atlanta. And so I can't really say enough about, the things that you're saying, the place from which you speak from. It certainly is not only one of knowledge, but one that is of care for people who are underserved and underrepresented already. What does the current climate suggest that we should do, especially since those matters of distrust already exist? How do we help our community to be as healthy as we can? How do we go about persuading, and how do we go about making sure that especially our women who are pregnant and vulnerable at this time are provided what they need?
Well, first of all, I want to make clear that I do not speak for Morehouse
Okay.
Healthcare
Mhm.
or Morehouse School of Medicine during this conversation.
Mhm.
But yes, that is where I am employed, and I enjoy good conversations with good colleagues, both at the Morehouse School of Medicine and elsewhere around these issues. And so, right now, I think the best ways that a consumer can navigate this where we are now is well, first of all, not to have to do what RFK says, that each person will have to do their own research. First of all, there's no way that an individual person can do the type of in-depth medical, scientific, ecological, environmental um, type of research that has to be done on each of these issues to be able to come up with their own conclusions. I would just say that persons have to look to trusted institutions that have been doing the hard work of doing the research in these spaces, the doing the advocacy in these places, some of the long-term healthcare organizations, the professional organizations like the National Medical Association, the American Medical Association. In my field, I look to places like the American College of OBGYN, etc. And so there are trusted healthcare organizations who are coming out and reasserting their plans. The ACOG, that's the American College of OBGYN, recently published their own guidelines based on decades of research and practice and understanding about vaccination around for pregnant and postpartum women, and therefore the effects on their newborns. And so, look into organizations who are not just accepting the potential misguidance of the current administration, and standing tall in this time to put out what evidence-based medicine in these spaces. And so,
Dr. Franklin,
mhm.
I might the PhD, Dr. Franklin. Theologically, I'm really torn between some members of our community who do not understand or appreciate the history of African Americans from 1619 to the present, where we were seen in this society, especially after the Constitution was signed on September 17th, 1787, and obviously before that, between 1619 and the founding documents of this nation, we were seen as illegal people. We had no citizenship rights. Profoundly, even ecclesiastically, we were considered as a people outside of the grace of God. I have been arguing on this program that there's no such thing as an illegal human being, even as ICE conducts its raids, even as National Guard troops find themselves in Los Angeles, California. They find themselves in Chicago at this hour. They find themselves heading to Baltimore and maybe even to Louisiana. your thoughts on framing this debate as illegal people versus legitimate people or people who are not illegal, and the consequences, if you will, of moving from challenging ICE but showing up in our cities to conduct crime raids. That seems like it's a crackdown on Black people.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jesse, for raising this important issue. I think we do need to remember that from the beginning of the African presence in the New World, we brought along with us, according to the Yale scholar Albert Rabbitoe, we brought African traditional religions with us in our hearts. And we continued to worship, even as we met Jesus and fused Christianity and African traditional beliefs in North America, throughout the Caribbean, Brazil, and other parts of the world. So that's a great story. What's important to know is there is always a kind of defiant spirituality present that says we are made in the image of God. That Latin concept, imago Dei. Every one of us has value, has worth, and we have power. There are over 300,000 houses of worship in the United States. Over 65,000 of them are Black churches and Black houses of worship. And when you add all of the Latinx and the Asian and Native American and over half in this country, that is a vast army. And so we have power, but we must do as Dr. King and as Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. was attempting to teach us, build coalitions, stand together during the difficult moments. And when the right time comes, when the trumpet is sounded, let us mobilize, let us vote, let us register, and ensure that change comes around the corner.
Gina, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward.
Absolutely. And with that said, when we come back, I do want to take a segment to talk about it. And maybe during the break, you guys can talk about it. How do you ground yourself as a couple? And I mentioned that the title of our show today with you guys is Still Standing. You have been married for a long time. And so in that is caring for the physical health and caring for the spiritual health. And I certainly would like to have you impart that. Let's have a conversation about what that really looks like, not only to inspire everybody, but to give us some real knowledge.
Amen.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In this hour, Reverend Dr. Robert Franklin, an eminent professor at Emory University, and Dr. Cheryl Franklin, MD, an eminent professor at the Morehouse School of Medicine, are our very special guests on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We can't ask for a better and more perfect Friday than to have the guests that we have with us today. On the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, this is KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, more with Doctors Franklin.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams may drop his re-election bid, reportedly exploring other jobs and even meeting with a Trump advisor in Florida. Trump wants Adams and another candidate out to boost Andrew Cuomo's chances against Democrat Zohran Mamdani.
I've never asked for a job with HUD. I've never been promised a job with HUD. I have not communicated with the president.
Adams insists he's not going anywhere. Boxing legends Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather Jr. have agreed to an exhibition fight next spring. No date or location yet, but Mayweather says it'll be big and legendary. Details are still to come. And civil rights icon and retired Air Force General Joseph McNeil, one of the 4 Black students who led the 1960 Woolworth sit-in, has died at 83. His Greenboro protest sparked a national movement for justice. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Saving money on tires and auto repair services is a big deal. That's why Big O offers a low price guarantee on tires with big deals like this. Now buy 3 select tires, get the 4th tire free with paid installation during our September to Remember. Now at Big O Tires.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A couple of HBCU teams face a tough challenge tomorrow in week 2 of the college football season. Grambling is at number 1 Ohio State. It's the first time an HBCU school has played the number 1 team in the country. Ohio State gave Grambling a $1 million guarantee for making the trip to Columbus. 12:30 kickoff Pacific time. You can catch the game live on the Big Ten Network. Jackson State, ranked number 15 in this week's Division I AA poll, has a non-conference matchup at Southern Mississippi tomorrow. Jackson State may have a chance to surprise some folks in Hattiesburg. The Southern Mississippi program has been struggling. They've lost 14 of their last 15 games. 2 p.m. kickoff Pacific time on ESPN+. The Dodgers need to regroup after getting swept in Pittsburgh. They start a 3-game series tonight in Baltimore. Despite losing 3 in a row in Pittsburgh, the Dodgers still lead San Diego by 2 games in the NL West. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley here on KBLA Talk 1580. As a law school graduate and a theologian with a firm grasp of our body politic given almost 2 decades in Congress, my show is the fresh new home of an authentic, uncompromised quest for transformation and salvation, both personal and collectively, as I vigorously interrogate the theological and symbolic meanings embedded in our society. I promise to leverage my knowledge of history, theology, and both international and domestic issues to imagine an inclusive vision for the future, which I hope will inspire all of us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a given, not just an aspiration. So join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley for 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call us at Cordell & Cordell. Let me tell you, I understand on a personal level, your business is much more than a job. It's your legacy.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
What make you? Yeah.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Robert Franklin, the PhD, is a foremost public theologian. Dr. Franklin has authored 4 books: Moral Leadership, Integrity, Courage, Imagination, published by Orbis in 2020; Crisis in the Village, Restoring Hope in African American Communities, Fortress Press, 2007; Another Day's Journey, Black Churches Confronting the American Crisis, Fortress Press, 1997; and Liberating Visions, Human Fulfillment and Social Justice in African American Thought, Fortress Press, 1990. He co-authored From Culture Wars to Common Ground, Religion and the American Family Debate, Westminster John Knox Press, in 2001. And he also penned the foreword to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Letter from a Birmingham Jail, reprinted by Trinity Forum in 2012. Dr. Cheryl Franklin, the medical doctor, was educated in the Houston Public Schools and is a distinguished alumnus of Stanford University, Columbia University Public Health, and Harvard University School of Medicine. She was trained in obstetrics and gynecology, both at the Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas, and at the University of Rochester in Rochester, New York, from 1985 to 1989. Having had the honor of practicing OBGYN in the greater Atlanta area since 1989, she currently concentrates her medical skill in gynecology. Doctors and Mrs. Franklin, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for the good work you are doing in our public square, Jesse Jr. and Gina. This is really inspiring and enlightening for all of us, so thank you.
I appreciate you so much. I was going to ask the question, how does this work? So Mrs. Franklin, the doctor, medical doctor, and she calls and she says, hey, forgive me for this term of it. Hey, Bob. Hey, Robert. I need to talk to you. I can't, honey. Right now I'm writing a paper. And then Dr. Franklin says, I'm working on a curriculum for my class this week, or today, or tomorrow, or I'm giving an exam. And then Dr. Robert Franklin, turns to Cheryl and says, Cheryl, listen, I'd like to spend a little time with you, honey. I can't right now. I'm seeing a patient. A baby's coming into the world. Tell me how this works, given the extraordinary capacity both of your educations represent.
Maybe I should let you go first. You bring a new life into the world. You know, that's better than my paper.
A lot of complex calendaring for many years, and I take that seriously. I mean,
Happy 39th
we
anniversary.
sit down with calendars. We project 6 months into the future, and we like to make sure that we are doing everything. And of course, it's not just the two of us. We've also raised 2 children and co-raised a third. And so we've had to
project
make
everything.
sure
You've had to project everything into the future.
Included all of their stuff in whatever it is that we've done over these years. And so it's important. We like to make sure that we leave time for family and that we hold each other in the highest esteem and with respect, and that we support each other in whatever the endeavor is that we are doing.
Dr. Franklin?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. After a church service one Sunday, I was speaking that day, and they introduced both of us, of course, and we were standing together at the end of the service, and one elder came up, and she and her spouse, and she said, now, which one of you is the doctor? And her elder husband stood there and said, now, honey, this one is the real doctor, and this one is the academical doctor. So we have a medical doctor and an academical.
Congratulations on the celebration of your 39th anniversary. Congratulations.
Yeah,
you're showing us how to do this. Gina?
So I want to turn to exactly that. I just thought that was so very cute how Dr. Cheryl expressed all of it. You know, she got really kind of serious for me, some complex calendaring. And then, of course, Dr. Bob goes, well, you know. And so you can kind of almost see the spirit-filled dynamic between the two of you, which is what has always endeared me to you. And, you know, we should mention at this particular point that Dr. Robert Franklin is one of the past president emeritus at Morehouse College. And that would have made Dr. Cheryl the first lady. So, you know, we honor you in that role as well, because you've had to have different roles at different times. You've had to take off this hat and put on this hat and show up with this dress, maybe in the trunk, and these shoes over here. And he's had to bring some gym shoes because you're going out in the community to get some shots today or whatever it is that you're doing. But I put this on your promo for today. Effectively communicating involves not only delivering a message, but also resonating with the experience, values, and emotions of the one listening. And that really not only spills over into your classrooms, respectively, but into the communities that you've served, the communities that you've led, but then into your own household. Can you talk to us a little bit about how to maintain in what is very kind of scary? I have to imagine, I'm not as far along, you know, in my children being quite as you know, stable. You know, they're still kind of making their way, getting out of the nest. But you have grandchildren. What does that feel like? What does that look like? How do you ground everybody and continue to ground yourselves?
Well, I'll tell you, the wonderful part about it is at the heart of all of these relationships and the networks of relationships we are a part of as spouses, as parents, as grandparents, and members of larger networks of family. There's a single word I invite people to meditate on, and that word is friendship. What are the dynamics of a good friendship? You know, we have children who are also seeking partners, and we pray about that process because it is a deeply spiritual process. There has to be a kind of alignment of spirits, alignment of values, and alignment of, as Cheryl's already talked about, of schedules so that quality time can be protected. People are always pulling at us, and we have to negotiate constantly, and sometimes we make compromise. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out, and we have to have those honest conversations and argue it through and work it out and reconcile. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 offers some real insight about the nature of love, however, and the dynamics of an enduring, flexible love. And I'll just say it's all about friendship and trust building and good communication. And I urge people to remember the words of something that one of our elders told me: blessed are the flexible, for they shall never be bent out of shape.
Oh, not your own moral arc of the Franklin household. Okay, so listen here. When you all write this book, because I mentioned today that you need to write a book together, I do need like at least a little thank you, Gina. We should write a book.
Got it, Gina. You heard it.
Profound. We're going to unseat Dr. Phil and everybody else. Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil. We can take both of you.
I think it's so beautiful that they're both in ministry together. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with the Franklins when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Imagine a world without heart disease and stroke, where every person has the chance to live a full and healthy life. Join us for a walk to save lives at the American Heart Association's Greater Los Angeles Heart and Stroke Walk, Saturday, September 20th at the Rose Bowl. Every step made and every dollar raised means more people learning CPR, more life-saving research, and more time with the ones we love. Sign up at heartwalkla.org. The LA Heart and Stroke Walk is sponsored by Optum, UCLA Health, Keck Medicine of USC, and Dignity Health.
If you're an African American mom who is pregnant or have a baby under 6 months old, you deserve care that lifts, listens, and lasts. Black Infant Health is for you. It's a free program with individual support, group sessions, and resources to start your mothering journey. BIH makes space for moms and their families to create community. Learn more about the programs in Los Angeles County. Check us out at blackinfanthealth.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We've been very blessed in this hour with Doctors Robert Franklin, the PhD, and Dr. Cheryl Franklin, the medical doctor. And just before the break, we were talking about friendship. We were talking about, well, they left this term out, ministry. They're both in ministry together. At least my perception of it is that in that friendship, found common ground, that they serve people, that they serve the least of these, both spiritually and medically. I have a friend, Dr. Franklin, the medical doctor, who is a cardiologist. And he said to me, you really want to sit down and talk about this. And I have this theory that the 30 years in the Bible that Jesus of Nazareth's life is not covered, he said, I'm convinced he was in medical school. He was dealing with issues of blood. He was healing the sick. He was dealing with the psychological and psychiatric health of people. He was healing lepers. He was telling people to get baptized, get clean. How about some good hygiene? Let's clean off some of this stuff that we walk around with on us all day. If we just wash it off a few times, if we just tarry in the River Jordan, we'll be just fine. Just that. And then, on the other hand, both the spiritual and medical needs are met in this marriage. One of our guests on Thursday, Dr. Johnny Mack, who worked at the King Center with Mrs. Coretta Scott King, Johnny often shares with us on our program. He's a regular commentator on Thursdays. He says, Jesse, I think we have to look at who we are in time, that this moment we are in time, but from 1619 to the present, we are in time over time. Means God has chosen us for this moment, for this special space in time. And the truth of the matter is, I normally ask for a word of hope at the end of our program, but I think I'm looking at hope. Everything about us over time is really both of you. It all comes together in what you bring together and what you're showing the world through hope and through your respective ministries, which become a combined ministry.
Wow, so powerful. And as you say that, I think about some of the couples that modeled friendship and love and partnership in ministry over the decades that are still, kind of aspirational goals for us. We don't quite have it right and together, but we're striving every day. But I think about the departed Dr. Henry and Ella Mitchell in ministry, or Bishop John Bryant and Cecilia Bryant in the AME tradition. Leaders of this caliber that have really established that you're never in this alone. You need help. You need someone who can help bring out your best. So the conversation continues.
Congratulations, Gina.
Sounds like those might have been some discipling partners.
Yes, I like that. Yes.
It's always interesting when couples try to disciple each other, versus maybe having someone there to ease the blow. Bro, you did this, or sister, you did that. Doctor, you did that to the other doctor. So anyhow, I was going to ask you about the most trying time that you've endured, that you feel like, and if it's too personal, I'm not trying to go into any of those. It's a more of a difficult time, and one of the reasons why I ask is because both of you are still very engaged, even outside of your family, in pouring into the next generation. And so when you see them going through, and these are grown folk, these are not elementary students, these are graduate level students that both of you have respectively, as you teach in the seminary and you teach at medical school. How do you impart not just the book knowledge along the way to a new generation?
I work with medical students and residents in my work. And particularly with resident physicians. These are doctors who are in specialty training in obstetrics and gynecology. You can develop long-term, kind of almost familial relationships. And so it's real impactful for me to see these young physicians, generation after generation of them. Now, our generations in my field are 4 years long. And so, but to see them and going into their own careers. And sometimes they reach out and say, I've had a particularly trying day. I have had a particularly trying season. And I'm becoming unenchanted with the road that I've chosen to travel. And so it's pretty important that those of us who have been through trying times in medicine, professionally, personally, or whatever, really help these young physicians to keep perspective. Hurt doesn't hurt always. It's life is long. You will do many things over this career. Keep your eye on the prize, and so on and so forth. And so that's one of the ways that I try to give back. Robert always talks about kind of the third act of your life or career being the generative phase of your career. And I very much feel like that's where I am now, and he may feel the same, and finding ways to help to encourage those who are coming and to keep perspective in these challenging careers. So,
I do want to add this, and I know that we have about 3 minutes before we come forward. I hope you can stay at least for another segment. If it's at all possible, I'd be greatly appreciative, because I know my question is going to be a little bit difficult. On the policy side, Dr. Robert Franklin, we see an attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We understand that our most qualified African Americans, women, Hispanics, and others are going to find it even more challenging to get into colleges and universities in the future. On the medical side, it means, at least for me, someone who worked in this area when I was in Congress, there's likely to be fewer female doctors. There's likely to be fewer African American doctors. There's likely to be fewer obstetricians in the future under the current policies, both in the public and private sector, if we don't reverse the political dynamic, Dr. Robert, that we find ourselves in at this hour.
Absolutely. And I think this is a time for us to be smart about policy, about the role of law and policy in creating the framework in which we build and experience a good life. And those who have ignored policy in the past must surely now be leaning in and have a real first-hand seminar on how different your life can be if a president signs an executive order and wipes away all of the framework, the rungs of the ladder that enabled your progress and upward mobility. I know we can come back to this later, but I think everybody must now become a student of policy and participatory democracy. It belongs to us.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We've had a very rich first hour on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show with the Franklins. They have agreed to stay over for part of Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns and Jesse Jackson Jr. when we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams may drop his re-election bid, reportedly exploring other jobs and even meeting with a Trump advisor in Florida. Trump wants Adams and another candidate out to boost Andrew Cuomo's chances against Democrat Zohran Mamdani.
I've never asked for a job with HUD. I've never been promised a job with HUD. I have not communicated with the president.
Adams insists he's not going anywhere. Boxing legends Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather Jr. have agreed to an exhibition fight next spring. No date or location yet, but Mayweather says it'll be big and legendary. Details are still to come. And civil rights icon and retired Air Force General Joseph McNeil, one of the 4 Black students who led the 1960 Woolworth sit-in, has died at 83. His Greenboro protest sparked a national movement for justice. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Saving money on tires and auto repair services is a big deal. That's why Big O offers a low price guarantee on tires with big deals like this. Now buy 3 select tires, get the 4th tire free with paid installation during our September to Remember. Now at Big O Tires.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A couple of HBCU teams face a tough challenge tomorrow in week 2 of the college football season. Grambling is at number 1 Ohio State. It's the first time an HBCU school has played the number 1 team in the country. Ohio State gave Grambling a $1 million guarantee for making the trip to Columbus. 12:30 kickoff Pacific time. You can catch the game live on the Big Ten Network. Jackson State, ranked number 15 in this week's Division I AA poll, has a non-conference matchup at Southern Mississippi tomorrow. Jackson State may have a chance to surprise some folks in Hattiesburg. The Southern Mississippi program has been struggling. They've lost 14 of their last 15 games. 2 p.m. kickoff Pacific time on ESPN+. The Dodgers need to regroup after getting swept in Pittsburgh. They start a 3-game series tonight in Baltimore. Despite losing 3 in a row in Pittsburgh, the Dodgers still lead San Diego by 2 games in the NL West. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We've been particularly blessed this Friday on Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns with doctors. Mr. and Mrs. Franklin. Dr. Robert Franklin has a PhD. Dr. Cheryl Franklin has a medical degree. And I asked a question just before the break that Dr. Franklin, the PhD, Dr. Robert Franklin, had the opportunity to answer. And I'd like to reframe it, if not represent it again, for Dr. Cheryl Franklin, the medical doctor. Dr. Franklin, the attack on the policy that Dr. Franklin was speaking about, all that has occurred over time that has led to the graduation of the highest number of African-American medical doctors in the nation's history, and we're still not graduating enough of them. But in your own lifetime, you've watched Brown versus the Board of Education make room in these institutions in 1954 for the idea of an equal education, even though it's been a very difficult process to fight segregated schools and segregated thinking to even let us into college, let alone the testing propositions that have denied us access. One of the facts that I do want to just say very quickly is that one of the leading indicators for providing high quality healthcare is that people of color tend to go back to communities where there are people of color because people of color feel most comfortable with their primary care physicians that look like them. That's just one of the facts that kind of drive the nature of the situation that we find ourselves in. But there has to be some concern, Dr. Franklin, that we will be producing fewer doctors, fewer nurses, fewer nurse anesthesiologists going forward. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
So, yes, the assault on DEI at this juncture is simply astounding to me. Not only do persons of color tend to seek out physicians or healthcare providers who look like them, but studies show that they actually have better health outcomes when they are cared for by persons of similar background. And again, there's lots of reasons for that. The whole implicit bias piece, the understanding, getting people to actually take your medical advice. It's helpful to have persons who have some context behind a person's life. to be able to connect with people. So the assault on DEI is very concerning. Of course, we've had some assaults in the past, especially in medical education. We had the Bakke decision back some time ago, and other types of challenges. But this is getting to every university, every program, research. We now are being challenged to look at a list of banned words, for lack of a better term, that can't appear in proposals, and for research, for program, anything that's seeking grant funding that really has anything to do with the government. And we're having to interrogate ourselves for caring about diversity and caring about equality and caring about equity, which is different from equality. Caring about equal access, caring about righting historical wrongs, etc. And it's not only concerning, it is confusing, all geared towards trying to, I think, make sure that people don't even try. And in fact, lots of institutions are simply folding, are capitulating in a way that is unparalleled, is surprising. And I don't think we anticipated that we would have a lack of pushback to the extent that we are.
I sure hope CNN is listening, and MSNBC and Fox News. I hope they're listening to the Franklins, and I'd love to see the Franklins on television together, because let me tell you something. Sitting around the dining room table for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the Franklins, so much of what's going on in the world is being discussed around their table. Honey, what are we going to do today?
We're gonna fight that battle.
We got to fight.
Yes.
Are you gonna call this one? Okay, I'm gonna call that one.
There you go.
And who can
Use
we
the
assign
network.
these other people too? Because they got an assignment calendar over there too. They're tasked out to other people.
Right.
They are those get it done people. So we have another couple of minutes in this break. I wanted to tell you what we do in the second hour each Friday. On KBLA, everybody else gets to have a show that they did earlier in the week. So it's the best of their show. And what we decided to do was review our week, Monday through Thursday. And so every Friday we go through, and I take notes during the week, and I take screenshots of the things that I'm saying. You guys can see me typing over here. I haven't really said a lot during our show because I've been able to express it to you myself. But, I start, getting on my horse over here and say, well, this is what's going on, and this is why they're doing that. But anyway, we're going to start that process when we come back from our break. There's some really fun things that I think you guys will enjoy engaging us in as we talk about the things that we talked about during the week. Before we go, I just wanted to piggyback on this little bit that you said earlier, Dr. Franklin, and I've got about a minute to do it. Some of imparting has to do with creating community, which for everyone who does not know, I was at Morehouse School of Medicine with Dr. Franklin for the better part of a decade. And there are students at this point, that Dr. Franklin and Dr. Franklin are teaching are meeting each other, getting married, and having children. And so you have to make space for them to be in community. And I said, just bring the baby with you. Well, my instructor said, we'll keep the baby out here. And so it is that kind of community that where we have common unity, because love's got to do with that. And I think that's one of the ways that you have already exhibited in how we teach the next generation to be resilient and to be thoughtful as we encounter the things that we are encountering and that we will encounter in the days to come. So we're going to take our break now.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to KBLA Talk 1580. More with Jesse and Gina and the Franklins when we come forward.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Agnes was in deep trouble with the IRS.
I owed the IRS a lot of money. I did not know what I was going to do. I was scared.
Agnes caught a break and found out about Optima tax relief.
But when I called Optima Tax, they guaranteed me that they were going to help me out the best that they can. And they did.
Optima stopped the IRS.
No more telephone calls, no more letters. Optima Tax took care of everything. I can finally sleep at night. I was stress-free.
Agnes was finally free from her IRS nightmare.
It was like a burden was lifted off of me, and it was a great feeling.
Are you in deep trouble with the IRS? You might want to listen to Agnes.
I would refer Optima Tax Relief to anyone because they got me debt-free from owing the IRS any more money.
Call Optima right now for your free consultation. Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to KBLA Talk 1580 on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. On this Fat Meat Friday, hosted by Gina Towns, our very special guests have been none other than Dr. Robert Franklin and Dr. Cheryl Franklin. In our memory this week, in 1957, the desegregation of Little Rock Central High School began, with federal troops eventually escorting 9 Black students into the school. That's, of course, when the federal government was on our side. In 1997, Diana, the Princess of Wales, died in a car crash in Paris, France. Her partner, Dodi Fayed, and their driver, Henri Paul, were also killed. In 1939, Nazi Germany invaded Poland, beginning World War II. In Europe, Britain and France declared war on Germany 2 days later. Kind of sounds like Russia invading Ukraine. In 1985, a U.S.-French expedition located the wreckage of the Titanic on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. In 1945, this week, Japan formally surrendered to the Allies aboard the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay, officially ending World War II. In 1793, the Treaty of Paris was signed, officially ending the American Revolution. In 1939, the United Kingdom declared war on Nazi Germany. And in 1791, the city of Los Angeles was founded by Spanish settlers in what is now California. LA, California,
1781.
Angels,
Hollywood,
Hollywood.
fancy cars.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
sorry, we
Bootsy,
deviated
little
from that.
Bootsy Collins right there.
So as I was explaining, and we reflect on what we did, and then we have some activity, so hence reflectivity. On Monday, Jesse, we were not on. It was Labor Day.
Yes, it was.
Can you tell us a little bit about Labor Day, though?
I wasn't planning on it and hadn't prepared to, but yes, I can say this. We need to remember that our system started out from 1619, before there was a United States, with a slave labor system. With the addition after the American Civil War of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the Constitution, those constitutional amendments read together form the basis for human rights. If slavery is a state's right, then states' rights can never be human rights. And by overcoming the limitations of states' rights, by creating a new constitutional framework, really a second American founding, human rights has been the journey that we've been on since the end of the American Civil War. Now, however, we see ourselves, returning power to the states, taking it away from the idea of a central authority in Washington, D.C., where African Americans in first Reconstruction, 16 of them were elected to Congress. And now we're watching in the state of Texas, the Texans eliminate 5 congressional districts, possibly the districts of Jasmine Crockett, as well as the district of Al Green, 2 outspoken African Americans. We're looking at Democrats in California joining the redistricting fray, which could eliminate African American districts just to create some marginal Republican districts so that Democrats can have an opportunity to get back to Congress, but they may not be Black Democrats. And just this past week, we watched the governor of the state of Missouri say that he wants to redraw, consistent with the edict of Emperor Donald Trump, the state of Missouri, which could very well eliminate the 5th congressional district of Missouri, which would be that of Reverend Dr. Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, who has represented the interests not only of Missouri, but the people of the United States and African Americans in particularly with great distinction since his service in the Congress of the United States. And so that is the road to fighting for labor. And African Americans, by the way, are largely responsible for moving our system from a slave labor system to a free labor system that then required a confrontation between Black folks and organized labor, because white organized labor wouldn't let Black folks in the union. And Martin Luther King Jr. found himself in Memphis, Tennessee, fighting for sanitation workers, trying to get into a union to get better wages, health care, and better benefits. And on that occasion, on April 4th, 1968, he lost his life. We're still in that battle to this day. There's nothing in the world more racist and more white supremacist-oriented organization than the trades. Trying to get Black folks into the trades has been a struggle since the inception of the nation itself. That's what I got on that, G.
Okay, well, I do want to ask Dr. Franklin to speak on that. But, one of the things that we spoke about, and actually we've moved on into Tuesday.
Oh, we know we made it Tuesday. Okay.
We have arrived at Tuesday, which is Moving Mountain Monday, led into Tenacious Tuesday with our special guest, Ted Williams. And you and Ted talked about this whole state-federal government dynamic, and the things that we just talked about are the states are finding. We see California, we see Governor Newsom and Governor Pritzker in Illinois, and everybody's now trying to figure out what their position is as far as redistricting is concerned to try to respond to Texas. And so, for the argument that the federal government has always been the friend of Black Americans in that we called in the troops to make sure that the children could segregate the school. We called in the troops to make sure that, everybody stayed and didn't put the hoses and the dogs on people as they were moving through the civil rights era. And now we see something totally opposite in that you find that we're rooting for the states' rights almost. And so the dynamic changes as history goes along. And I want Dr. Franklin to speak about that, but I see that you have something cooking.
Well, I was only going to say that Ted Williams and I talked about it, but Dr. Robert Franklin actually lived it. Dr. Franklin, talk to us now. Break it down.
This makes me think, and I want to urge people to go back and reread Frederick Douglass's speech, both from the 4th of July as well as his earlier work, where Douglass, wow, there you have him right here, said to us, you have a brilliant executive producer and director.
She's the brilliant executive producer. She's something.
Wow, she didn't know I was going to say this. But I wanted to quote Douglass's word when he told the crowd, we need not the gentle rain, but we need the thunder. We need not light, but fire. The conscience of the nation must be startled. The feelings of the nation must be quickened, and its hypocrisy must be exposed and condemned. And that's why I love this show, because Jesse, you and Tina are doing that in a thoughtful, provocative way. But it is time to turn up the heat and to hold institutions and individuals accountable for doing the right thing. They are letting down people who pay their salaries. Taxpayers are providing the funds. And so when an administration decides to slash federal jobs that disproportionately impacts African-American women, those are taxpayers. Those are American citizens. And every member of the House, of the Capitol, should be outraged that so much harm falls on the shoulders of those who do so much good for the nation. So this is a time for consciousness raising and for turning up the heat.
Well, while we're talking about brilliance, I saw that our engineer changed the slide. And so I got ahead of myself because I was so excited about that conversation, and I got to Wednesday and Ted. But, on Tuesday, on Tenacious Tuesday, we had Shermanetta Carter on from Morris Brown College, and you both will appreciate this conversation. One of the reasons why we wanted you to stay, and for people who have been in and around Atlanta and understood that Morris Brown failed as an institution at one point. And of course, there's a tremendous amount of alums everywhere, and they are a part, however, of a university family called the Atlanta University Center. And of course, we have Dr. Franklin, who is the past president at Morehouse College, and we have Dr. Franklin at MSM. I'm MSM. Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr. over here has a son at Morehouse College who is a senior, giving a shout out to Trey. What it meant to see Morris Brown come back. And so we had Dr. Carter, Ms. Carter, on this week, and she is the CFO there, and she has played an integral part in the resurgence and the financial stability of Morris Brown College. I don't know if you want to comment on what a great feeling that is for all of us in the family that it is, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, this is an extraordinary time, and we are seeing, despite the dismantling, even of the Federal Department of Education, the cutting of federal grants to art Research One universities, the negative impact on students attending HBCUs, fewer scholarship dollars, on and on. We celebrate instances and points of hope and light, real renaissance happening in places like Morris Brown College, the college in the Atlanta University Center that was founded by Black folk, by the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So I celebrate the president there. He's a dear friend. I celebrate Sister Carter for the work she's doing. And let me just conclude this point by noting during your break, I heard a advertisement about a game between Jackson State and Ohio State. And this is kind of a historic occasion. So shout out to all HBCUs that will be gathering this fall for homecoming and for games. Let's make it more than a party, but let's party with purpose and ensure that everybody's registered and mobilized for when the trumpet sounds.
I have to remind people that private African-American colleges like Morris Brown College, they need our support. They need our support at every conceivable level. We ought to build them into our budgets corporately. We ought to build them into our annual giving. In fact, I am more convinced than ever when you think about the land grant institutions that came into existence at the end of First Reconstruction, really designed and created to help educate the newly freed men and women in these institutions of higher learning, that today all of the remaining historically Black college and universities, both private institutions and public institutions, still produce collectively more African Americans with baccalaureate degrees. One of these days, Dr. Franklin, I'm going to ask you, what does baccalaureate mean? With baccalaureate degrees, than the combined total of all of the PWIs together. That means predominantly white institutions.
You make a good point about the need for putting these institutions in the budget. And I just want to make a point about something that just happened. H.R. 1, the big, beautiful bill act, had a provision about student loans. It caps the amount of loan that can go, the dollar amounts that can go to graduate students and to professional students, etc. And I know the amount for professional students will not be enough to be able to have a person without family means to be able to support themselves over that 4-year professional degree. And so it is especially important now that we give to these institutions, to the HBCUs, the HBCU medical schools, professional schools, etc., that we earmark our personal and our corporate dollars to support these institutions, because now they've got to support their student bodies at a level that they have not had to in the past. Because those students will no longer qualify for some of the student loan aid that was being provided by the federal government.
You know, I'd like to see, Gina, every church and every pastor that's listening to our program, you should ask students who graduate from high school this year. In fact, you should ask them every year, who graduate from high school this year, who want to enroll in a college, find a way by church scholarship to provide those students with a 4-year college scholarship to school. Let's identify them. Let's begin the process of identifying them. Every church in the country ought to be able to identify the 17 and 18-year-old senior students who want to go to college. And then, of course, directing them to the historically Black colleges and university will only undergird and strengthen the survival of our people and the Black middle class for another generation to come. Gina?
Yeah, and with that, as we get ready to close out, and unless you guys are just raring to stay for a little while longer, thank you so much for being with us. And I want to make sure that we give a shout out, because our home family here is in Los Angeles, and that is Charles Drew Medical School. And certainly we want to shout out them, and they are part of the HBCU medical family, along with Howard, Meharry, and Morehouse School of Medicine. So whatever support we can give in the Los Angeles area, however KBLA can support, however the Jesse Jackson Jr. show can support Charles Drew, we definitely want to make sure that happens.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says he'll take legal action if President Trump sends the National Guard to Chicago.
So that's going to be our first line of defense, is getting a court to issue a TRO or other injunction against that activity.
Meanwhile, Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is preparing families for expected ICE raids over the weekend by expanding the city's Know Your Rights and family preparedness campaigns, plus launching a new immigrant resource website. Another rapper is fueling rumors that Jay-Z could be dropping new music. On Billboard Unfiltered's First Life episode, Cash Cobain said he heard Jay-Z has something coming that'll, quote, shake the world, end quote, echoing recent hints from Memphis Bleak. And Black U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock slammed Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at a Senate hearing, calling him a, quote, hazard to the health of the American people, end quote. When Kennedy tried to respond, Warnock cut him off. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Saving money on tires and auto repair services is a big deal. That's why Big O offers a low price guarantee on tires with big deals like this. Now buy 3 select tires, get the 4th tire free with paid installation during our September to Remember. Now at Big O Tires.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A couple of HBCU teams face a tough challenge tomorrow in week 2 of the college football season. Grambling is at number 1 Ohio State. It's the first time an HBCU school has played the number 1 team in the country. Ohio State gave Grambling a $1 million guarantee for making the trip to Columbus. 12:30 kickoff Pacific time. You can catch the game live on the Big Ten Network. Jackson State, ranked number 15 in this week's Division I AA poll, has a non-conference matchup at Southern Mississippi tomorrow. Jackson State may have a chance to surprise some folks in Hattiesburg. The Southern Mississippi program has been struggling. They've lost 14 of their last 15 games. 2 p.m. kickoff Pacific time on ESPN+. The Dodgers need to regroup after getting swept in Pittsburgh. They start a 3-game series tonight in Baltimore. Despite losing 3 in a row in Pittsburgh, the Dodgers still lead San Diego by 2 games in the NL West. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Asthma Peak Week is almost here, September 14th through 20th, and it's one of the most dangerous times of the year for asthma flare-ups. Did you know that Black Americans are about 5 times more likely than white Americans to end up in the emergency room due to asthma? This is an important reminder to be informed, prepared, and proactive. If you or someone you care for has asthma, now's the time to get ready. Make sure medications are filled and not expired. Review your asthma action plan with your doctor or care team. This is also the time to talk with your doctor about your triggers, monitor your symptoms closely, and double-check inhaler technique to ensure you are using all prescribed medications correctly. Caregivers, make sure your child's school or daycare has their rescue medications and know what to do in an emergency. Stay aware, have a plan, and spread the word because your health matters. For more active asthma care tips, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where it loses.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, where we reflect upon the week and all of the shows that we have had this week. And Gina, I know that we've got more shows to reflect upon, but I got to be honest with you. I mean, the best show this week has been the Franklins. I mean, you got to. The Franklins. I mean, listen, they deserve their own TV show. Yes. I mean, they really, really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine Dr. Cheryl Franklin turning to Dr. Robert Franklin and saying, Dr. Robert Franklin, you shouldn't be eating that. And I can imagine that Dr. Franklin said to Dr. Cheryl Franklin, you shouldn't be thinking that.
Well, we're just going to pray over it.
I mean, what an amazing relationship, an amazing friendship, and an amazing ministry.
Absolutely. And the spirit exudes from them.
No doubt about
39 years worth of partnership. So I am very, very grateful. You're right. I've had an absolute ball. And just when I thought that I had the best time ever, and I did, with our Tenacious Tuesday, because, we went from Miss Carter and Morris Brown to none other than On the Grind with Barbara Arnwine.
Oh, she was grinding this week.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, we have to give her a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Cheryl, that carrot, though, can you just take one more second? Because I have something I want to say to you. That I put her banner up early because I was like, I want to see what Dr. Cheryl Franklin says about your birth certificate and your driver's license must match in order to vote in the upcoming election. Now, this woman has been married to this man
now, say that again.
for 39 years.
Say that again. There is
Barbara
a proposal.
Arnwine said that in order to vote, one of the ways that we're working through our voter suppression nuances, we're not counting jelly beans. At least they haven't said that just yet. But what we are going to do is for you women who have gotten married and changed your name on your driver's license, your real ID, must match your birth certificate. And so that means if you are not hyphenated or you didn't keep your own name and you just took on your husband's name, that you may be in some sort of jeopardy about voting. And then there's the whole issue with the visa. So I really wanted to hear Dr. Cheryl Franklin and all of her, 4 MD, FACCS, and MPH, and then Dr. Franklin with his MDiv and PhD. I want to hear you all talk about that nuance.
It just has to violate the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. The idea of even having the conversation runs afoul of the 19th Amendment, in my opinion. But, the example I gave during the show was this. My mother got pregnant her first year at North Carolina A&T State University. And we also celebrate the life of General Joseph McNeil, who died this week. He was one of the Greensboro Four, who on February 1st, 1960, sat in at the Woolworth lunch counter. And my mother, when she entered North Carolina A&T State University, she was Jacqueline Davis. And that's how she enrolled. And 50 years later, she was awarded a PhD by the North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. And when they sent her the letter letting her know that the board of directors had unanimously selected her for this honor, they sent the letter to Jacqueline Davis. So my mother opened up the mail. She saw the letter to Jacqueline Davis from North Carolina A&T, and she threw it away.
In classic Dr. Jackson fashion.
She called me a week later and said, "Have you heard that I've been given a PhD?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, I got this letter 2 weeks ago that I threw away that said Jacqueline Davis." I said, "Mom, when you enrolled at A&T, you were Jacqueline Davis." She said, "I haven't been Jacqueline Davis in 50 years. I've been Mrs. Jesse Jackson for 50 years, 60 years. And she said, I didn't even recognize that that's who I was. Well, what you're saying and what Barbara Arnwine is saying is that my mother needs to show up to vote with her birth certificate that says Jacqueline Davis on it.
And you know what's interesting? In this moment, I realized that ploy, the majority of people that are our voting block in our community are baby boomers and the older Xers. And if there's some, beyond that, great. But that is one of the ways to make it difficult, particularly for that large voting block to be stifled at the polls. Not only are you going to cut out mail-in voting for those people who may be, deterred from, they're in the house or they're in nursing homes or what have you. But that, you've been married to somebody. Where is your birth certificate after 60 years of marriage? You might not even really know.
When I was in Congress, I filed one of the 9 amendments to the Constitution of the United States that I filed, especially after Bush v. Gore, that we deserve as Americans in the U.S. Constitution the federal constitutional right to vote. You cannot survive in a separate and unequal 50 states doing it their way, 3,067 or more counties doing it their way, just like we ensure after 9/11 that security around the country at airports would have these men and women in blue shirts with badges, making sure that not one bottle of water makes it onto a flight, and therefore protecting the entire nation's aviation system. Even in foreign lands, for flights that are coming in the United States, the TSA is in those countries, making sure that not a bottle of water makes it through a bag to get on a plane. It doesn't make sense in our democracy that we don't have the fundamental right to vote with the same kind of security in every state, every county, and every city, protected by some version of the TSA, even if it's a new authority whose sole responsibility is to protect and count votes. We deserve that in America, and it ought to be one system.
Yeah. So on the grind with Barbara Ironwine, we'll just leave on this note. Los Angeles and surrounding counties, you must find your birth certificate. You must make sure you are still on the voting rolls. You have to take a look right now, because if you have to make any adjustments, getting a certified, and that means a notarized birth certificate that matches your driver's license or your passport. We have time right now to make sure that you're still on the roll in California. And for all of our listeners around the country, you have time to find out what your status is and handle it, so we would be safe rather than sorry.
Gina, I know we have more shows to go through for the week, but I just want to say I'm still a fan, if I had to vote, of Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner with the Franklins. I think that's a hit. I think it's a hit show.
So
these are grown folk.
They just came off of a cruise for their anniversary, and they were, on their social media, they were in a gondola. They were, here. And if Dr. Franklin is laughing, I don't know if I didn't see you in a belly dancing outfit there, Dr. Franklin. They were around the world in a day. I felt like, leading into worldwide in a moment. But we do have to cover Wednesday first. We have about 2 minutes left.
Very quickly, Worldwide was amazing. We had Abel Adele, who was and is a lead producer of coffee, and he shared with us the impact of tariffs on the poor and poor farmers, Gina.
Yes, he did.
In Ethiopia.
In Ethiopia.
Live from
I
Ethiopia.
haven't been to Ethiopia, but it is one of my favorite countries just by the fact that it's Ethiopia, because I think that Ethiopian people are, and the surrounding area, they're just beautiful people.
I did not know that their coffee is some of the most sought after coffee in the world. Absolutely. Because of the unique notes associated with it. But that more than 5 million men and women in Ethiopia are responsible for harvesting coffee beans, and it impacts more than 20 million people as a result of that in Ethiopia, of a nation of 131 million people. And so when Donald Trump drops his tariffs on the people of Ethiopia, 10% across the board, it devastates the poor in those countries. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Fat Meat Friday with Gina Towns. When we come forward, more on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Fat Meat Fridays, where we engage in reflectivity with special guest Gina Towns. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Yes, the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Okay, anyhow. So we left off about this whole coffee thing. And one thing that I did not share, because of the fact that the World House host, Johnny Mack, because it really is worldwide on Thursdays. Everybody is somewhere else other than American soil when they come on the show on Thursdays. Johnny Mack was on a plane that was delayed going to Kinshasa. And so he called me during the last part of the show, because usually he's in early, and because he wants to hear what the person was talking about before him, whether it was a Tiba or someone else. And it was like, I'm on the runway. We just landed in Kinshasa. I was like, oh, okay. And so the next thing I know, here I am. So we're talking about tariffs. We're talking about coffee. One thing I did not say was that I used to sell coffee, Organo Gold. And there are probably plenty of people who maybe even still drink Organogo. It's a great product. Reishi mushroom is amazing. But we talked about the tariffs. And even as Dr. Franklin was just talking about, I thought about the tariffs perhaps on medical supplies now and how that looks for hospitals like Howard University Medical Center and Morehouse School of Medicine, healthcare for HBCUs who also have and support. And I know the District of Columbia, works with Howard's medical facility, but I mean, it just is unimaginable all of the things that may be affected by the tariffs. But in particular, coffee is because everybody that we just talked about needs a cup of coffee in the morning. And so I tried to imagine really what it was like to be a farmer. And that is how I make my living. And it's endangered now, not only in Ethiopia, but in the Caribbean and perhaps in some other Black and brown nations.
Gina, surprisingly, farmers are some of the great environmentalists in our nation, in our world. I mean, they literally survive off of the soil.
Absolutely.
The heat, the rain, the weather conditions are all factors in growing a crop, in raising animals, in raising livestock. And so they are far more universal than we give them credit for. They might have a different accent, they might have a different education system, but they are extremely well educated in what they do.
Absolutely.
And without them, we simply could not be able to eat. And Dr. King spent a lot of time talking about the interrelatedness of humanity. When we think about the eggs on our table, we think about the bacon on our plates. We think about the corn in our cornbread. When we think about the collard in our greens, when we think about the ham in our hocks,
the pan in our cakes.
When we think, that's right. When we think about it all just comes together around the farm. It really, really does. We've been talking about farmers or living through the hopes and expectations, the dreams and prayers of farmers every single meal that we eat.
The other thing we talked about very briefly on that show.
And by the way, before you've prayed over it, when it gets to your table, it's already been prayed over on some farm somewhere. Absolutely. Where they hope that the harvest itself is sufficient, not only to feed their families, but to feed yours.
To the one who can make it rain.
Who can make it rain now.
So the other thing that we talked about, I'm glad we kind of took this segue to be spiritual for 1 second here. Learning to discern on Fat Meat Fridays is what we do. And this the discernment of how he carried himself too, though. I thought it was very interesting. I have several friends who are from Ethiopia and their families are still in Ethiopia. And he mentioned that we are the cradle of humanity. Mm-hmm. And I jumped on that immediately. My soul leapt when he said that. And I took the time to mention that biblically speaking, you see Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, and that there was a part of the Torah or Pentateuch that the Ethiopians had, and it was in the news very briefly, and everybody was in such shock that the Ethiopians had this. And it just really speaks to that we are really not as separated as we try to make ourselves out to be. We are 1 degree separated because all of those ancient writings from the Dead Sea Scrolls, what have you, they all make up 3 major faith systems in the world. And nobody is so far from any of it. So I thought that was a really great worldwide show that we had on Thursday. And what we do have to do is go back to Wednesday. I don't know how we skipped all over
Todd Yeary.
Wealthy Wednesday.
And Todd Yeary, no.
That's because I got us off. I apologize. So let's go here first.
Ted Williams is just an extraordinary mind, an extraordinary talent, an extraordinary actor. I certainly hope he considers running for higher office because he is certainly that dude. And the great editor, former editor of the Chicago Defender, Takuma Robach, joined us, and we talked about. He was candid with us about the division within our own community over the violence question.
Yes.
and over, this question of illegal immigrants versus, those who came into the United States properly, which, by the way, has always been filled with its biases, its preferences, including but not limited to doctors, PhDs, people of certain wealth. Even Donald Trump has created a gold card visa. If you buy it for $5 million, you can become an American citizen. But those farmers, those workers who cross our southern border, who are day laborers in some cases, some of them are seasonal workers. Remember the struggle and the movement led by the late, great Cesar Chavez for farm workers' rights, who subsequently apply for American citizenship, and others who don't apply but just come here seasonally, but work their way through the country, find themselves now at the brunt of a major federal government initiative to deport them and to remove them from the United States.
And certainly, I hate to say it like this, following in the steps of our big brother, big sister relationship with Los Angeles. In Chicago, we know that even now there is a military facility in the north suburbs where ICE is staging and preparing to be out and about, I suppose, or
but
whatever they're doing.
What's outrageous
leading
about
up to Mexican
Independence Day,
September 15th, trying to provoke so that the other one can invoke. But you and I were in Los Angeles for KBLA's 4th anniversary, and once again, congratulations, Tavis, for the great job that you're doing, and for the platform, and for all that you've done for our community and for radio in general. But we were there, and I mean, it was almost like you did not see it at all. If you didn't go directly downtown, you didn't see it. And so it leaves Chicago to wonder exactly where are you looking for people? Where will you station yourself? Because I didn't go to Compton or Gardena or any of the Studio City. I didn't go, in some of the places that, and I've spent a lot of time in Los Angeles. I love it. But I didn't see them everywhere. So
Gina,
where are they going, and what is the purpose?
Gina,
and we talked about that.
ICE is preparing to come to the city of Chicago to interrupt, it is widely suggested, the Mexican American Heritage Parade, along with Puerto Rican Pride Day, where people are waving their flags and driving around the city in a very colorful, reflection of their culture, their lives, their freedom, being here in America. And don't forget now, Puerto Ricans are an American territory. They have a right to be here. Absolutely. So you've got to imagine these Army soldiers coming up, National Guardsmen from Alabama, Mississippi. Governor Abbott of Texas is now saying he wants the Texas boys to come up here to Chicago and do their thing. Well, what does do your thing mean, man? Other than to come here and harass these people and provoke. What Donald Trump wants to do is invoke the Insurrection Act based upon those provocations, but to watch parents separated from children, children separated from parents, can only lead to a provocation. And a fight.
And so we'll end on this note, because it was The Politics of Our Faith with Reverend Dr. Todd Urey, Esquire, who really put it where the goats could get it, to say, hey, this is about Black and brown people. It is about race. It is about prohibiting us from, being in elected office, being in Congress, and really a move to get us back to the era of Jim Crow. And we cannot take the bait, is what he said. We cannot take the bait.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to Fat Meat Fridays and Reflectivity with Gina Towns on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on the Jesse Jackson Show when we come forward next week.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.